Alright, getting back on the 1600. We're getting some parts laid out here. We have our cylinders all honed. Got our pistons here with the new rings. Got those all cleaned up like new. Soaked those in the carb cleaner and cleaned those up. New push rod tube, set of rebuilt rods. I'm going to use the old cam because it was in really nice shape. Going to go with some new lifters. The lifter mod there, and the old lifters are right here. You can see they're starved for oil, sort of pitted up. We're going to get rid of those. I'm going to go with a new pump. Here's the old pump gear. Here's the new pump gear. It's 24 millimeter 26. That'll give us much better oil pressure and oil control in the motor. Got the new rod bearings back there, new main bearings. I wanted to show you the difference in the main bearing, the quality difference here. Here's what was in the motor. Here's what we're putting in. Go ahead and clear this up here. One more time. Got the fan on, so it might not go completely to zero. There we go. 26.5 grams for that bearing. 75.8 grams for the same bearing that's steel backed. This is the aluminum bearing that they had in the motor. So we won't be using that again. It would be copper, but there's no copper in it, so it'll never turn copper. It just keeps wearing and losing oil pressure. So anyway, we're going to go with the Climax. Those are some decent bearings. Some guys have asked me before about those. I use those as a silver line, and I prefer these. It just depends on what size the case is. So that covers, we got a gasket here with a flywheel seal. Got the new rings on there. We got a set of heads ready to go. Got our rock worms laid out. Had these oil relief valves in there. I've never seen anything quite like this. We're going to replace these. These are solid. This bar stock somebody cut and put in there, so we'll do away with that and put the OEM type valves in there. You can see where these have been binding in the aluminum case. You can see the galling on them, so they're not the proper size, and that can affect the oil pressure control and the amount of oil that goes to the cooler. So we'll correct that. Got our push rods cleaned up back here. That's about it for on the bench. We got our crank in the stand here. I got to pull it apart, get the old rods off, take the gears off. We'll clean the crank one more time. I've already soaked it. We'll clean it one more time after we get everything off. We'll install the new bearing on the front, heat the gear, reinstall the timing gear, and bolt our new rods on and put it in as assembly. Something interesting about this case here, this isn't a Volkswagen case. This is an aftermarket piece. Somebody's made this to look like a Volkswagen case, but it's not a Volkswagen case. You know, obviously you want to hope that it's good. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. They've gotten some service out of it. I saw a stamp in this where it was built of 10 of 10, and they did have a warranty issue. I know it went back. I did find this. I don't know if it'll show up on camera. Looks like it spun the rear bearing back here, and they welded this hole up and re-drilled the dowel pin hole. That's not a very good thing to do. You know, I would recommend getting a new case, but this motor's not that old, and for a low horsepower application we'd probably be okay. So we're gonna go with it. The other thing that's weird about this case is normally there's a seal right here, and when I took this apart you can see it's still, there's so much aviation Permatex packed in here I couldn't get it out, and I got to looking at the other half of the case and it's not machined for the O-ring. So they have one hole, which is right here, that's beveled and machined for the O-ring to sit in, and all these other holes aren't machined. They're just, some of them are machined, some of them aren't. See where this one's more sharp. See where that one's almost non-existent, and that one's the same way. So very weird. No markings at all on the case. Let me flip it around and show you Volkswagen guys are going, There you go, no markings at all, no number on the front, nothing. There's a job number right here, and it's 040. I think that's suffix for the cylinder heads. It's a Famoco motor. I guess they build their own engine cases and cylinder heads. And this motor's never run right. You know, it's always run really cold. The motor was all carboned up, and one of the rods were upside down. It had a plethora of problems, so should run quite a bit better. We've done a few things to make it run better. We're going to lower the compression a tad. I replaced the wrist pins with some 30-gram lighter pins, so the piston will accelerate a little quicker. We put some heads on with some port enhancement and some combustion chamber work, so it'll be a little zippier. I was going to put a camshaft in it, but I don't think I'm going to put a cam in it, being that the rear bearing is not in the strongest order. So, and then you have to buy a cam gear and a cam, so that's another $100, $150. So we're just going to go with the stock cam, which will make really good power, a good set of springs, and the ported heads will run really well. This combination has worked really good for me in the past. So the main thing is just trying to get rid of some of the stuff that just isn't compatible and didn't make any power. So we got rid of the small pump. The fuel pressure was really high for some reason. I don't know if they had the wrong size rod in there. We're gonna have to adjust the rod length, lower the fuel pressure down. And that's all the old stuff there. We'll use new hardware, of course, and we'll soak this stuff and clean it up. Some of this stuff will get used. Fuel pump, distributor, oil cooler will get cleaned and reused, flushed out, stuff like that. So that's where we're at with this. Got to get a few more parts. I need to find some cam bearings for it, and I think that's all we're lacking: cam bearings and getting the crank torn down and polish that up and mic it. I just mic'd a couple of them, and they're it's all standard, which is unusual, but you know, you don't ever argue with it. It's nice and squeaky standard. I was measuring rod bolts, but when I measured it earlier, it was really nice. So hopefully the rest of the crank's really nice too. It's got a few little grooves in it, but I think after we polish it up, it'll be fine. Yeah, so that's where we're at. We'll pull that apart a little bit. It's about 100 degrees out here right now. Let it cool down. Come out here later and run that over to the machine shop in the morning and polish it. And this is the other thing on this front bearing. It had some pinching. I don't know if that's the hard to rotate issue. You can see right there that one spot right there by the oil hole, and there's another big notch right here in the bearing where something got under it and they just bolted it together. So not a very good assembly. We'll make sure that it's right this time for sure. So that's where we're at. The other thing on this crank was the dowel pins came out of the back of it. I don't know why that would happen. Usually that's not good, but the holes don't look bad. So we'll try to reinstall those and make sure they're tight, and maybe put a good gland nut on it so the flywheel stays on. But that's about it. We are going to use this case though and give it a try. And the bore is really good on it. It's standard. So I don't know, it's like they had an issue here and repaired it and put it back together, and it seemed to hold up fairly decent. I know she runs it pretty hard because it was only running on 3 cylinders, so you have to dog it pretty hard to get the power out of it, and it'll be a little different this time for sure. So alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and shut this down. That's a few of the parts that we're going to be using on this build. Pretty standard. Like I said, the piston cylinders were in really good shape. They haven't seen much heat at all because the motor was so rich. I don't think it's I don't know if it's never had a lot of temperature in it or what, but the pistons look like new. The cylinder's honed out, had the ridge at the top, that cleaned up. And you can see it's got a nice cross hatch in it now. And I think those will be very good, so pretty confident in those. Never heard of this brand piston before. There you go, to give you some indication of how clean the piston is. OEB 85.45 is the size. And yeah, so I think that's about it. I'll go ahead and shut this off, and we'll definitely turn the camera on, we assemble it, and I might do a little video on how to pull the gears off the end of the crank there, because I've had a couple guys ask me about that. But like I said, that'll be a little later tonight. So you guys have a good day. I talked to a couple tubers today. Got to talk to Hanson. That was pretty cool. And looking forward to going to St. Louis, Kansas City. Saw Greg's video this morning. So try to get this Volkswagen motor together, and then I got to concentrate on packing some stuff up. You know, getting some paint guns and some tools and stuff like that put together. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. We're gonna try to shove out of here Tuesday night and go to Atlanta. Chip wants to go to the Big House in Atlanta. It's where Greg Allman recorded some album or something. So we're gonna go check that out, and then we'll be heading to St. Louis. We should be there probably Thursday. So hope to see you guys there. If you're in the St. Louis area there, you know, go over to Greg, check out the Greaserama, come check us out. And you can help us work on the Chevrolet pickup truck, or come for the barbecue, or come for the car show, or whatever. Just come check it out and hang out. There's the old bus, little parting shot there.